The Honda Rebel 1100 is one of the most talked about cruisers on the market, and for good reason. It packages a muscular Africa Twin-derived engine, a suite of modern electronics, and a sharp bobber aesthetic into a surprisingly accessible price point. Those strengths are real, but so are the Rebel 1100's limits. This review looks at where the bike stands out and where it falls short. At the heart of the Rebel 1100 is a 1083cc liquid-cooled parallel twin borrowed directly from Honda's legendary Africa Twin adventure platform and retuned for cruiser duty. The numbers are convincing: 87 horsepower and 72.3 pound-feet of torque, with peak torque arriving at a very usable 4750 RPM. What those figures don't fully capture is the character of the engine. Honda fitted it with a 270-degree crankshaft firing order, which produces the loping, uneven pulse traditionally associated with V-twins. The result is a bike that sounds and feels meaty in a way that parallel twin cruisers rarely do, without the extra width or mechanical complexity that V-twin architecture demands. On the road, that mid-range torque translates into immediate, satisfying shove off the line and effortless highway passing. Whether you're threading through city traffic or stretching the bike's legs on an open interstate, the engine's character is rarely anything but engaging. From there, the bike's electronics package builds on that foundation and helps frame the rest of the review. The Rebel 1100 ships with a rider aid suite that would not look out of place on a bike costing twice as much. Standard equipment includes Honda selectable torque control with wheelie suppression, ABS, throttle-by-wire, and cruise control. Riders can choose from 4 riding modes: Standard, Rain, Sport, and a user-customizable option, allowing the bike's power delivery and traction intervention to be tailored to conditions or personal preference. The 5-inch TFT display is crisp and well-organized, and it pairs with Honda RoadSync, which connects to iOS and Android devices via Bluetooth to deliver hands-free navigation, music playback, and for Android users, phone calls and text messaging. A USB-C port sits conveniently near the instruments for device charging. Together, these features reinforce the Rebel 1100's value and leads naturally into its approachable ergonomics.
One of the Rebel 1100's quieter achievements is how approachable it feels, despite its displacement. The seat height sits at just 27.5 inches, low enough that shorter riders can plant both feet at stops with genuine confidence. Honda designed the frame around a compact engine layout with mass centralization, positioning heavy components close to the bike's center of gravity. The resulting handling is nimble and light-feeling for a machine of this size, particularly at low speeds and in parking lots where big cruisers often feel unwieldy. The slim waist at the tank-to-seat junction makes mounting and dismounting natural, and the forward-positioned foot pegs combined with the pulled-back handlebars create a riding position that is relaxed without being aggressively reclined. This is a bike that experienced riders will find fun, and newer riders will find manageable, a balance that is harder to strike than it sounds. Those traits define the Rebel 1100's appeal and lead to the question of value.
With a base MSRP of $9,699, the standard Rebel 1100 sits in a genuinely competitive price bracket for a big-bore cruiser with this level of specification. Most rivals in the 1000cc and up cruiser segment that offer comparable technology either cost significantly more or deliver less content for similar money. Honda's manufacturing scale and reputation for reliability mean that the long-term cost of ownership is typically lower as well. Parts are widely available, service intervals are reasonable, and dealers are plentiful across the country. Even the top-tier trim levels hold up. The DCT SE at $11,199 and the touring-oriented Rebel 1100T represent solid value propositions when their respective feature sets are considered. Honda has managed to democratize a motorcycle category that has historically demanded either a premium price tag or a willingness to sacrifice modern technology. That pricing range naturally leads to the question of how far the value can stretch across the lineup.
The Rebel 1100 is not a single bike. It is a platform that branches into 5 distinct configurations. The base model is a clean, stripped-back cruiser. The DCT variant adds Honda's acclaimed dual-clutch transmission, which enables fully automatic riding or manual mode via paddle shifters without a traditional clutch lever. The DCT SE layers on additional cosmetic and equipment upgrades. The Rebel 1100T appends a Batwing-style handlebar fairing and 35-liter color-matched hard saddlebags for touring capability. And the Rebel 1100T DCT brings the DCT system to the touring variant. This breadth of choice is unusual in the mid-size cruiser market. A rider who commutes daily and wants an automatic, a weekend canyon carver who wants full control, and a long-distance tourer who needs luggage can all find their version of the same motorcycle within the lineup. That versatility substantially broadens the Rebel 1100's appeal, but it also brings trade-offs that deserve a closer look. Those trade-offs lead directly to the bike's limitations. For all its ergonomic cleverness, the Rebel 1100 tips the scales at just under 500 pounds in its base configuration. That is not unusual for this displacement class, but it is worth stating plainly for riders who may be attracted by the bike's accessible seat height and assume they are looking at a lightweight machine. At parking lot speeds, during slow U-turns, or when maneuvering in a tight space, those pounds are felt. Riders who drop the bike will need assistance getting it upright. The weight is a meaningful consideration for newer riders in particular. The low seat and friendly power delivery can create a false sense of ease, but a 500-pound motorcycle at a standstill requires real physical confidence and practice technique. Anyone stepping up to the Rebel 1100 from a smaller bike should factor in a period of adjustment and, ideally, parking lot practice time before venturing into demanding urban environments. That makes the bike approachable but not effortless. It also points directly to the next limitation: range. The Rebel 1100's fuel tank holds just 3.6 gallons. On a bike that returns somewhere in the range of 40 to 45 miles per gallon in mixed riding conditions, that translates to a practical range of roughly 140 to 160 miles before reserve. For daily commuting or weekend day rides, that is rarely a problem. For serious touring, it becomes a recurring inconvenience. Riders planning multi-day trips will need to build in more frequent fuel stops than they would on most comparable long-distance machines. The small tank is a deliberate design compromise. It keeps the silhouette slim and the overall weight down, but it is a compromise nonetheless. The Rebel 1100T trim helps address this concern with its saddlebags and touring focus, but even that version shares the same 3.6-gallon tank, meaning no variant fully resolves the range limitation. From there, the next drawback is wind protection. The standard Rebel 1100, the DCT, and the DCT SE all feature a fully naked, unfaired profile. That is part of their aesthetic appeal. The clean, bobber-derived lines are central to the motorcycle's visual identity. At city speeds, it is irrelevant. At sustained highway speeds above 70 miles per hour, the lack of any wind protection becomes a fatiguing reality. Riders are exposed to the full force of the airstream, which places continuous strain on the arms, shoulders, and neck during extended stints. The Rebel 1100T and TDCT do include a Batwing-style handlebar fairing that offers meaningful wind deflection, but that trim also adds cost, weight, and a visual character that not every buyer will want. Honda does offer an accessory windscreen for some trims, but it represents an additional purchase on top of an already equipped motorcycle. Buyers who anticipate significant highway miles should factor windshield costs into their budget or prioritize the T models from the outset. That brings the lineup to its next trade-off, the DCT Premium. Honda's dual-clutch transmission is a genuinely impressive piece of engineering, and for the right rider, those returning from injury, commuters in heavy traffic, or anyone transitioning from the scooter or automatic car world, it is a transformative feature.
but it adds $700 to the base model's price, and the SE trim, which most prominently showcases it, costs $11,199. When destination charges are included, the real-world cost climbs further. For buyers who do not need it, that premium can be hard to justify. That final cost is the last trade-off in the Rebel 1100 lineup. For riders who are competent manual riders and do not specifically want or need automatic capability, that premium represents a feature they will never fully use. The base manual Rebel 1100 is the better value in those cases. But the way Honda markets and packages the lineup can make it tempting to step up to DCT variants for prestige rather than genuine need, which can lead to overpaying for a feature that offers marginal benefit to an experienced clutch user. That trade-off matters most when comparing the lineup as a whole. In the end, the DCT premium is easier to justify for riders who will use it often and harder to justify for those who will not. The Rebel 1100's bobber styling requires some real-world compromises. The rear seat is compact and, in the base configuration, not particularly generous to a second rider. There is minimal grab hardware for passengers, and the overall two-up experience is noticeably less accommodating than cruisers specifically designed with touring in mind. For solo riders, none of this matters at all. For riders who regularly carry a passenger, it can be a persistent source of friction. That limitation fits the bike's design, but it also narrows its use cases. Similarly, the base models ship with no luggage provisions beyond a small underseat storage compartment. Adding meaningful storage requires purchasing Honda accessories or third-party solutions. Again, the Rebel 1100T addresses this directly with its integrated saddlebags, but at a premium and with a significant aesthetic impact. Riders who want the standard Rebel's looks and also need regular passenger or cargo capacity may find themselves caught between what they want the bike to look like and what they need it to do.